either. But they like where they sell them like they'll do the yard a drink.
Yes.
We actually did that there too, but we didn't do that.
Yeah, well, yeah. There's no
but
way.
But the alcohol is cheap. It's like tastes cheap.
Yeah, and it was.
But it was
brain freezing.
But it was cold. It was cold, and that's
what we wanted. The cold.
The cold.
Were there any fun things that happened? Oh, that's where we found the swinging bench or the swingers.
The swingers bench.
Swingers bench.
I'll put a picture of that up.
Yeah, very fun.
Yeah, that was fun. I'm Jodie.
Hi, I'm Roland.
Live from our balcony.
Right, live from the balcony, yeah. Unfortunately,
in the middle of the ocean.
I am not pickled, although we did get a little bit pickled yesterday.
2 days ago.
2 days ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because we were on we were on an excursion thingy. Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to talk about day 2 of
island hopping.
It's
not necessarily the full cruise, but day 2 on an island.
Yes.
We went to Nassau.
Yeah, so...
And did research.
Actually, yes, so we did research. So, as some of you may know, and if you read the comments below, I write books. So, one of my series talks about the golden age of piracy. And so, we needed... And part of that takes place in Nassau, right? And the third book, we want to do a little bit of research for the third book in that trilogy. And that one's going to involve more on Blackbeard time period.
Yep.
So previously it was Henry Avery and the beginning of that time period. And then this is, with Blackbeard, is pretty much the end of it. So we'll talk about the beginning and the end.
Yeah, so the information, the first place we beeline to was the Pirate Museum. And as I understand it, Nassau was like one of the first pirate democracies. Is that accurate?
Well,
you're the piracy expert.
Right.
I know how to take a boat, but I don't know anything about what to do after it.
So I wouldn't necessarily call it a pirate democracy. So, it was run by the English. And you had on other islands, you have the French and the Dutch. And so, and the Spanish.
Wasn't the governor a former privateer?
Yeah, so Woodes Rogers. Yep. So Woodes Rogers was a former pirate. So he was he had money, and he ended up becoming a pirate. And then he was pardoned, and part of his pardon, he said, "Hey, I'll become a privateer," and to help chase down the pirates that did not want to sign the letter and say that they'd stop piracy. So he became a privateer, kind of like a pirate hunter, if you will.
It's so funny, just thinking about it right now, the number of times we see that in history and in storytelling. The most recent thing I can think about is in the Pirates of the Caribbean movie series. Towards the end of that series, you see Captain Barbossa is allegedly working for the crown. Mm-hmm. He's got himself some freedom, right? I'm not a pirate anymore. I'm a privateer. So he's got letters of marque from the English government to do fantastic things.
Or do things.
I don't know. Or horrible things.
Yeah, so that was something that they would do, right?
Yeah.
And especially they would want to hire previous, pirates, because number one, they already know their morals are questionable. And they would do something for $1, right? But they also want to hire them because they know the seas, they know the pirates that are out there, they know the locations, they know how,
Yeah, they're subject matter experts.
Yes.
They know where to look for the crime. That's
yes.
So there's another one, the Billy the Kid. Mm-hmm. Billy the Kid used to run with it, and I can't remember the guy's name now. Bat Masterson.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's Bat Masterson. Someone will correct me. So Billy the Kid used to run with Bat Masterson, and then Bat ended up joining, with the government to hunt Billy down. but he knew all the places Billy would go.
Yeah.
So it made it easier for him to hunt him.
I
And
mean,
it's the same premise.
Yeah, I mean, we still do. I mean, they still kind of do that today, except you have people that turncoat all the time, right? So like they get arrested, and they'll sing like songbirds to reduce their sentence.
Right, like a black hat hacker, like a dangerous hacker, and then they get hired by the FBI or whatever. They probably still get some sort of punishment, but they might make a deal, and now they're not bad guy hackers. Although there has been a growth of more people doing that sort of thing in a healthy, appropriate manner.
That's what happened with Woods Rogers too.
Yeah.
And he wasn't the only one, obviously, but he became prominent, and I think they had him like sitting like as governor at a point in time for managing the island.
It was a very fun place, Nassau.
So
it's so much more busy than I thought it would be.
Yeah, so we really enjoyed our time there. So it was busy. We did go to the straw market. We walked around a bit.
Jodie got a fantastic dress. It's all shiny.
I did.
And delicious.
Yeah, I got that from the straw market, and I mean they were open to negotiation on prices. I think some of my things I negotiated a little too far down because they just want, I mean, I say that because I found prices for what I ended up paying was well below the price you'd find in a store, because we did go and look at other places that have more controlled pricing, and I definitely.
So there's a good example. On the third day, we had another ashore event, but the same dress we bought in Nassau was available in shops on the third day, and the prices were
actually the original price that she told me.
Yeah, exactly.
So the dress I got, she said it was $65, and yes, they do. Everybody takes U.S. dollars, like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then
Apple Pay, Google Pay, credit cards, U.S. dollars.
They want your money.
A cash will always get you a cheaper price.
Yes.
If you have cash, because they're able to access those funds immediately.
Yeah, and it's less controlled.
Yeah.
Right. So, one of the things that we noticed that there was the same dress that was on our second one in like a more controlled pricing area, and that was $65, and I ended up getting the dress for $40.
Yeah. And then we went. So we're at the Pirate Museum. We did that, I think, before we went to the straw market. But I really enjoyed the Pirate Museum. It's not incredibly long.
No, it's pretty short, and I think we paid $15 a person.
Yeah, but there's a lot of information available in there. And they're like half-built ship that you can walk through, and you get kind of a concept of how big some of the spaces are. It's not as accurate as being on an actual schooner,
right?
But
we did try getting on a replica ship.
Pirate ship,
pirate ship, and they had an excursion for that, and we had signed up for it, and then it got canceled, so we didn't get to go on it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it got canceled. Because even when we went into Nassau, it was a high wind day, and
I don't know. There's people who went on, but maybe it's because of the ship.
Yeah, the little pirate ship. When I say little, I mean.
Wait, I don't know how big it was.
Compared to what I'm on now, I think this vessel that we're on right now displaces like 75,000 tons, is what its displacement is, and a ship, the old timey. Privateer ship probably displaces quite a bit less.
Right.
Quite a bit less. I mean, it looked like a freaking canoe compared to this thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so now let's talk about ships.
Yeah.
And the different types of ships that they were using during that time.
Okay.
So they would acquire ships.
If you can.
Right. So one of the things that they used, because the islands were so close to each other as well, so they would use a lot of periaguas to do some pirating in.
And what is a periagua?
A periagua is basically like an elongated rowboat type of.
Yeah.
So and sometimes they have like two, but they were just kind of longer, and you can get up because like when we saw like some of the sandbars, right? so they can like get up into those locations. They were quick. I mean, and they would have to, and they did have like some of them did have like a sail, but they would be able to row as well.
I hate to point at movies again.
Okay.
But
okay.
It's similar to Periagua, similar to the ship that was sinking that in the first Pirates movie, where he's standing on the.
That was more
because it was a small boat,
but
that had one mast.
Periaguas, you get about 20 to 30 people on them. You could,
okay, like, so that one was a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so you could get about like 20 people. I mean, so they're a good size.
20 people, nuts to butts. They'll squeeze in there.
They will. I mean, and so now when you're talking about merchant ships, so we're talking about acquiring vessels, right?
Yeah.
So a merchant ship, they would probably have about, we'll say, at the most, like 30 people manning the ship, right? But when they were acquired and taken as a pirate vessel, they would put up to about 200 people.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes a little, yeah. So I mean, because they would take other ships, not only by using like their weapons that they have, like from a distance, and hopefully they would want the people not, just to give up, right, before it got to that.
No fight.
But whenever they would be able to come alongside another ship, they can immediately overwhelm the other crew.
Yeah. So I guess there's two ways to think about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you line 150 people up on the deck, getting ready to board another ship, the other ship who's already in range to be boarded is probably like, we have 30, you have 150, mm-hmm. Short of being able to fire the cannon and destroy us, and maybe they were even out cannoned because they had they would have full crews on every mm-hmm. cannon. But then the other is actually board mm-hmm. and physically overwhelm them.
Yep.
Yeah. I assume though that you need part of that 150 to 200 crew to move on to the other ship.
And they would take possession of that ship and sail maybe to land, and maybe they'd get rid of the other crew. Maybe they'd take the ship. Maybe they would sink it, but they needed that to be able to
get rid of the other crew.
So yes, sometimes it's a get rid of the other crew, and sometimes it really was just get off our ship. Okay, you want to join? Some would join the pirate crew. Some would leave. And when you're talking about the violence against the merchants, yes, sometimes they would get violent. You get mob mentality, of course, yep. Right? But a lot of times they just wanted the goods and to be able to move on.
Can't say I blame them.
I mean, right? So,
especially if the goods are good. Yeah.
And whenever we see the movies, like when we're talking about like Pirates of the Caribbean, like a lot of the times the ships were not that big, and they weren't using the big old wheel to steer it. They had a tiller.
Yeah.
But that was just, I mean, later on they might have the bigger wheel, but I mean, our expectation of what we see as a pirate ship isn't somebody standing with a stick in their hand, right?
Right, exactly.
It's more dramatic with your...
So the periaguas that they used,
mm-hmm. Yes.
Do they store them on the boat?
No, they would actually, that was what they were using. So they would store them.
So it's just a periagua, not a ship. Mm-hmm. I'm a pirate. All I can afford is my very first periagua.
Right. So like, I think it was
the baby ship.
Charles Vane, I think it was, who led. So what they would do is they would, because of how close the islands are, they would be able to get into an inlet and they'll see the larger merchant ships coming by, and they would take their periaguas out, go and get, and the reason why they wouldn't necessarily want their ship was because
it gets in a fight?
Huh?
Because it would get in a fight?
Well, no, but it was more vulnerable.
Okay, so the periagua,
You could sneak up onto somebody.
low in the water.
Low in the water, they could
Yeah.
sneak up onto somebody. Doesn't look intimidating. Doesn't have the weapons other than what they're carrying in their hand, which
Yeah.
is a lot of times was like the boarding axes. So I think people have learned a lot more about pirating. And if you want to learn more, read my books.
Right? Yeah, read the books. They're fantastic. So after looking at piracy stuff, we were kind of strolling around. That's when we went to the straw market and bought some things. And then we found Senior Frogs.
Yeah.
It was a little warm.
We got a drinks. They were kind of really heavy. You know what? So other than the flavors, it reminded the alcohol. So they had like a
Frozen
icy,
drinks.
yeah, frozen drinks, like icy machine type thing with booze. But what I found about Senior Frog's drinks, what made me think of is going to like a Mardi Gras type of thing.
I was thinking the same thing. If you go to New Orleans
Yeah.
and you go into any one of the shops down there,
Yeah.
or the bars and eateries down there, they all have like this wall full of frozen drinks. I've never had one of those in Louisiana.
I haven't either. But they like where they sell them like they'll do the yard of drink.
Yes.
We actually did that there too, but we didn't do that.
Yeah, well, yeah. There's no
But
way.
it's the alcohol is cheap. It's like tastes cheap.
Yeah, and it was
But it was
brain freezing.
But it was cold. It was cold, and
That's what we wanted. The cold.
The cold.
Were there any fun things that happened? Oh, that's where we found the swinging bench or the swingers.
The swingers bench.
Swingers bench.
I'll put a picture of that up.
Yeah. Very fun.
Yeah, that was fun. We just kind of hung out there for a little while.
Yeah.
And just relaxed because we had shade and it was warm.
We could people watch.
Except there was this big truck in front of us, so we just had to like watch them as they like just strolled by on the sidewalk. It wasn't like you could see like too far out. But then I think after that we just walked back to the ship. As far as going there for a port date in the future, if we were to go on another cruise to stop in Nassau as a port date. Now I know a lot of people like. It's funny. So I'm on a lot of like Facebook groups about people talking about for sailings and stuff. And a lot of people are like, oh, I don't go off the ship when they go to Nassau. They complain about going there. So I would say depending on what your goals are, there really is not a lot to do. Like, there's not a lot there, right?
Yeah, it's the people are just living their lives.
Yeah.
And they're shopping.
And
there's a beach availability.
Yeah. But so as far as like, if you were stopping there like every cruise you were taking, I mean, I'd probably get off just to get off.
Yeah.
Maybe kind of go walk through the straw market just to see kind of
any new ideas have come out.
Yeah, but other than that, I mean, unless you're booking an excursion. And there were things that I wanted to do that we didn't get to do.
I really want to do that pirate excursion.
Yeah, so I wanted to do the pirate excursion. I also wanted to go to Caves Beach. And the reason why I wanted to go to Caves Beach was there's a cave there, hence the name, Caves Beach, right? But one of the things about that beach is this. So it's supposedly one of the locations that they say that Blackbeard stored his gold. So Nassau became a very big
it's a pirate port.
It's a pirate port, but a fencing, I would call it. It was a good place to fence your stuff, right?
Somebody's got to buy it.
And that's why they got way out of price. But I do believe that's why whenever you walk everywhere, everybody's selling jewels, right? So there's a lot of history of bringing the jewels and gold to there to fence out. So not saying that that's why they still have them here now, but it kind of becomes embedded in their history. And I believe that I could be totally making it up.
Yeah. So I imagine like the in New York where they have like the diamond merchants all in this kind of key location. Mm-hmm. When we were walking down one of the streets, it seemed like every other street was some sort of jewelry that they were selling, which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't buy any of it. I'm not a big jewelry wearer, but the fact that it's present, it kind of points towards the history, and that is super cool.
Yeah. So so one of the things about which I was glad. So when we went to the Pirate Museum, they mentioned it as well. And all along, like I've always said, that pirates don't bury their treasure.
That is the worst thing to do.
I've been a firm believer in that parts of there's no X marks the spot, no matter what the Indiana Jones movie says. X does not mark the spot, and they're not burying treasure. If you want to find it again, you're not burying it. So they have this cave that they said that, but you do need someplace to store it, right? And gold is heavy, and you're not wanting to really transport it a lot. So having a cave like area, it's a secure location.
Yeah.
It's a little the seas aren't as rough as they were
earlier today or
yesterday. Ooh, they were really rough yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday was quite fun.
But so we have a little bit of banging because our door to our cabin's open.
Oh, but then we went back to the boat.
Mm-hmm.
We took another picture at another bench that was for swingers.
Oh yeah, no, it wasn't. So
we are not swingers.
We're not swingers.
But it's funny. Haha. It was just a bit of because they're swings.
Yeah.
Ooh, I did on the last video. One of the pictures that I did was swimming, or not swimming, swinging. Because they had like a kid's playground.
Yes,
and I was like, I need to get on that.
I'll put the link to that video below too.
Yeah.
To Bimini, that was day one. That was port day one.
Yeah. When did we get back to the boat? It wasn't too. Oh, I remember. We got back to the boat and we're sitting here in the room, kind of recovering from when we got back to the room, and I'm like, is it raining?
Oh my gosh, it was a downpour.
And it was a downpour. It's total tropical rain. And we're on the boat dry, and it's sitting at the dock just watching all of the people like ants. It's raining!
Yeah, because they go and run underneath the little awnings, like from awning to awning as they could, but they were getting drenched. It was hilarious.
Yeah, it was very fun. But then just like that, it was over.
Yeah.
Raining and then not raining, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, so that was day 2.
That was day 2. Island day. Port
day 2.
Yeah, port day 2. Yeah.
So, yeah.
I would do it again.
Yeah. So I guess stay tuned for day 3.
Yeah.
And this is part of the video where I tell you to like, subscribe, and follow along. And don't forget to leave a comment below.
Hanging out down the street, the same old things.
All right. Okay.